Hey, you don't want to miss tonight's show.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing out there? You all in Facebook land and also that are watching by YouTube. We're certainly glad that, as always, you took the time out to come by and to spend the evening with us. And hey, I am your host, Lionel Nelson.
And I am Sharella Nelson.
All right, my beautiful better half and all that other kind of stuff y'all ladies like to say. Cream in the coffee, and sugar in my iced tea. What else y'all be saying?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly, sun in my sunshine.
That would be me.
That would okay then. All right. Yeah, that is you. Of course. So we just want to say hello to everyone. Hey, we have a great show planned for you tonight. Our guests tonight, they're no strangers to the show, of course.
They're definitely not strangers to us.
No, not at all. They are part of our family, as many of you may know, those of you who may have seen the flyer. But I think this is going to be good. And I think that if sit back, get your popcorn and all that kind of stuff, I think we're going to learn some things tonight that might be very, very helpful from this very young couple. And they young, but I've been watching them. They sure talk with a lot of wisdom. They be flowing like they've been doing this here for a lifetime. So we're gonna see what they got to say tonight. But without any further ado, we want to bring our guest, none other than Dr. Deacon Jones, Desmond Jones, and his wife, Talesha Paris Jones. I almost said Nelson, but I did say it.
Where he got the doctor from? Where did that come from?
Hey, that's the maestro. So say hello to everybody for us.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good evening.
All right. Awesome. So today celebrates 1 year.
1 year. Ooh.
This is going to be interesting. So, first question. So how has the ride been?
Right out the gate.
Right out the gate.
It's been great.
Okay. All right. Let's back up then. Back up. You got something you want to ask?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, sweetie. Go ahead.
Well, he normally, he runs the show. And I'm just the sidekick, right?
No, you're not no sidekick. Of course not.
I'm not
No, you're not my sidekick.
I did have a few questions. Just a couple.
Give them to us.
Y'all know I don't talk that much.
Yeah, you talk enough.
Enough.
You talk enough.
So basically, marriage, as we know, marriage is a beautiful commitment, right? Mm-hmm. For after all, it is ordained by God. But that first year, it can be wonderful and it can also be challenging. So my first question is, what have you learned about each other?
As they all say, don't all both of you talk at the same time.
Don't everybody speak first.
What I learned is that, let me see, can I say this? Because we've been knowing each other for a while. Shoot. I would say that, oh my gosh. I learned, I don't know what.
But when I say that, I mean, like, what have you learned being married that you didn't already know, from dating? What did you learn about each other?
I would say how to be more, more present or there to her emotional side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Bro, preach, bro.
Oh.
Preach. Anything else? Anything else that you've learned? Go
Oh,
ahead.
him or me?
Yeah. Anything else,
Oh.
Desmond?
I think that was the most thing for me that I noticed.
So you had to learn how.
Not just be like I guess physically there as a man, but actually like being more attentive. Because
Okay.
some things you don't really know as a boyfriend or girlfriend. I mean, yeah, a boyfriend. You don't really know that like those different emotional things. You don't know because the guard not really fully let down. You know.
It's interesting.
That's good. Okay.
Okay. All right, Paris.
I would say one of the most important things that I think I'm gonna always be learning this, but definitely learned this year is how to stay in my lane. In a sense, like we don't, I think we both know our roles together and we
Mhm.
cross that. I feel like
Mhm.
whenever we work together, or even if it's just day to day and we're not actually working together, we know our roles and our positions so far. And so
Mhm.
we don't cross that. Everything is kosher. Everything is cool. I think that's one of the main things that I've learned. And then
Okay.
when he is inspired by the Spirit of God. Like when I'm supposed to pull back and literally just really, really, really let Him blaze the trail, even if I
Mhm.
can't see it. You know what I'm saying? Just I don't know. I've learned a little bit of his tendencies, how he kind of sounds, the texture and the tone of his voice when he knows that he knows that he knows. I'm just like, all right, I'm following you.
Uh-huh.
And I think when we get in that flow and in that groove, it's a sweet thing that God does in it.
So let me ask the question, going back to you, Des, and I'm gonna come back to you, Paris, with the same question. Why did you feel it was important for you to connect with her emotions?
Because I feel like emotions they affect the way that you behave to certain things. So if I'm connected or I can help her as well get over get over and pray for her emotional needs. You know, because sometimes I I used to like, why you kind of act this way? But once you find out about the emotion and why you kind of like, oh, okay, that's why I can have more, I guess, more understanding, and it's not like a thing where it's like, dang, it's probably me. I'm the reason.
Mm-hmm.
Rather,
Oh,
but
that's
it's
good.
actually it's just something that she had to go through or she's battling. You know.
One of the things I'm going to say it this way: one things that I've learned, women don't think like we think, and what may bother them, what may not bother us, may bother them. And I think that we are so logical about things that we can get lost in our own emotions, where we can overlook their emotions. So by you saying that, we need to really learn how to be more patient and connect with our wise emotions, so that we can feel what they feel, we can know how they're thinking and why, and understand why. I think that's so very, very, very important, man. So why did you learn it was essential, Paris, that why was it important to you to learn the essentialness of you staying in your lane?
I think I can connect it to something physical like a car. A car has a whole lot of parts to it, and as
Mm-hmm.
long as each piece does its job and nobody like comes alive and starts trying to do anybody else's job, everything runs and flows smoothly. Flows smoothly because if I was made to do this certain thing and I do it really, really well, and he was made to do a certain thing and he does it really, really well, it's gonna be a well-oiled machine, and we're gonna get the results of both of us, two different mechanisms coming together and creating a new or a different product.
One more question
That's
to
good.
both of you. At what stage in your first year of marriage did you have to learn those two tendencies for yourself in relationship to the other?
I feel like the first couple of months, like I think the first like 4 or 5 months.
Months, okay.
Okay. Well, what about you, Paris?
I think for me, it was the first time that we did something for the business together. That's when I really saw it's like, hey, you got you stay in your lane. Because if I don't stay in my lane, something's gonna be lacking and something's gonna be missing. If I'm trying to do his job and what he's supposed to do, I need to stay focused here. He needs to stay focused there, and then everything will come together and function well. But I think that's the first time I saw it.
You mentioned business.
Yeah.
All right, my wife just gave me. Okay.
That was my question.
Okay. All right. Well, no, I tell you what. Before
still, you can hold what you got because mine probably is.
Well, hold your question. Okay. Let me play something real quick here about the wedding day. Desmond Jones. Hey, I just want to just play a couple of pictures here, of the wedding day in case for those who were not there. All right. So, yeah, I was happy here, man. Let me tell you.
I know you was.
Look at that.
We all know he was.
Hey, outstanding God. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry, y'all ain't no music with it, but next time. Yeah. Hey, Dad D, how was you feeling, man? Tell us, how were you feeling before we go on with this? What was going through your head when you saw her coming down the aisle? And hey, talk to us. What was that moment?
I was very happy, and it was because it was always something that we always talked about getting married. Like we knew it was everybody around us. It was kind of like surreal, like, oh, it's happening. You know how somebody how somebody know about your surprise,
right?
They keep like teasing you about the surprise, like, oh, it's about to happen. Oh, it felt like that, and it was like, but it was happy. I was overfilled with joy. I was super happy. Like the back of my head was hurting from smiling so much.
From smiling so much because he kept that smile. He was so anxious.
Yeah, I was super happy.
Yeah.
Super excited.
Hey, she looks real happy too. Maybe back that up a little bit.
You saw her
Look at that smile. Oh, wait. Where's it at? Let me see here. Back it up a little bit. Look at that smile.
That's when she was putting his ring on.
Yeah.
That's when you gave. And I gave you.
And he was putting her ring on.
Yeah.
Of course, the proud parents. Bringing up the rear. Yeah. So what was special about that day for you, Paris? Let me ask this, let me phrase the question this way. Was it more than you thought it would be? Or did it turn out how you expected it would have?
I think it was beyond. And then everything was just like not a rush in the sense of everything being fast. It was just so charged with just excitement, joy, the emotion, everything that had been spoken over us, said to us. It was like we were seeing it all at one moment.
All right, that's great. All right, cool. Thank you. Go ahead, sweetie. What's your next question, now?
Okay, well, since he mentioned or she mentioned the business, I was gonna say Mr. Artist Dope. How did you incorporate Mrs. Artist Dope into the business
And we should have some fun. We should have some pictures.
of?
Yeah, but it's okay. Go ahead.
How
Go
did I
ahead.
incorporate her? She always been a part of the business. Just it wasn't really formal. But,
Right.
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
even when she wasn't literally like a part of it, I always had her input. I don't know, it was always valuable to have her input or her thoughts or her suggestion. And I never really felt right, especially when it was a big decision. I never really felt right just doing it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to make sure she was included, you know, and she's a fashion designer too. So I kind of use this as a way of also inspiring her to do her own thing. Because one day she's going to have her own fashion line, and
Oh, speak it.
yeah, she know that.
So right now you're wearing some of your design right now.
Right.
Yeah. Can you give us a better picture of it?
You got the artist collection. She has the varsity jacket.
She had the varsity jacket.
I got the beanie, you know.
Okay. So what we're looking at though, not only have you created a marriage together, but you further built a business together as well.
Right. Uh-huh.
So how important is that? Do you think that's something that you would recommend to other couples, young couples, as starting out or going forward?
I would recommend what?
As far as getting into a business together.
Ooh, if you can, because it's a lot of challenges. It's a lot of challenges. And like financial, there's a lot of dying to self and like sacrificing, because it's times where like that's what I guess she was alluding to, like, okay, you got like trust God with this, because you don't really have that you know, you're not a 5-figure company yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have that everything is basically sacrifice, especially in the beginning stages.
Okay, so now you're talking about not sacrifice for the business, a sacrifice for the marriage, or sacrifice for both?
I feel like it could affect both, because the business is a whole. I feel like as a child, tell you the truth, it's an expensive child, and it's like you see the vision, right? And say for instance, your spouse don't really see the vision like that. That can really damage the wedding, you know? I mean, the marriage, I said the wedding. That can really damage the marriage, because it's like you pouring out all this money and blah, blah, blah. And look at this, you know, we ain't got enough money for the house. We ain't doing this. You know, it's other stuff that could be done. But if you and your spouse can get on one accord, right? And that could be some dying to the flesh, because everything is not going to be glitz and glam, but it is parts of having a business that is glitz and glam, you know, like it's kind of like fishing sometimes. Like you get a big catch, and then for a couple of months, it's like, you know,
don't catch nothing, huh?
People can get to looking crazy. Cause like
Right.
you said this and you said that, and it don't happen. But if you and your spouse, first of all, I would say hear from God. Right? Hear from God.
That right there.
Yeah, because that's really what kept me doing the business. Because so if it's hard on me, I know it's hard on her being my wife.
Right.
I think in our situation right now, and probably continually, husband is going to be the visionary. And so I think for any husband, whether new or mature or classic, he's going to have to be really good at casting vision, and then really good at making sure that he sets his feet to do what he said he was going to. Even if the timeline takes longer, I feel like if you, wife, see that he's moving towards it, your role, encourage him, whatever your strengths are, supply them, because we're in this together. And now we were talking about that today. When we're winning, when we pass it through, It's us. And sometimes also we know when to turn it off. I'd be like, hey, all right, that's enough. That don't we not bringing no more of that in. We gonna talk to us. We gonna talk about us. We gonna change the conversation. I'm gonna encourage you. And then also wives being in a really a good place of sensitivity to know, like, yo, he's not mad at you. He's not upset with you, my love. He's not trying to ignore you, but he's really almost consumed with trying to make sure that he's fulfilling the vision that he promised you, because he loves you so much. He doesn't want to disappoint you. He doesn't want to disappoint himself. He doesn't want to be in a place where he's not fulfilling that identity that he got from the beginning, where he's supposed to provide, where he's supposed to protect. Like that's in the man. It's in him. So it's like when he's unable to do that, we as wives have to be sensitive to how they feel about that. The fact that I might not have it right now, and I really want to take my wife on this extravagant whatever, and I don't have it. That's frustrating to him. And so I, as a wife, have to be sensitive to that. And I only speak in those kinds of situations. My ear is on Holy Spirit, and he teaches me how to have discretion. I pray for him to give me Proverbs 31, where my husband's heart can be, he safely trusting me. Like he knows that he can come and just pour out if he needs to, or he could just be quiet if he needs to. And he knows that I'm not going to be trying to get on his case and be like, why you mad at me? Why you not talking to me? Da, da, da. No, I have to be in a place of discretion, in a place of sensitivity, in a place where I'm like, okay, let me understand where he is. And if I have something that can build him up, I say it and let it go. And then if I still sense like there's something in him that's not really getting fulfilled, I'm going in the prayer room, or I'm praying for him while he sleeps so that that void can be filled. Because I can't do it all. We have to love God more than we love each other. So I know that if I go to God, the Lord can do for him whatever, even if he doesn't know how to articulate the need, the Lord can do it. So we have to be super sensitive to that as wives, and not just feel like it's about me, and he mad at me, and he just don't want to be with me. It's not about that. He's trying to do and fulfill the mandate that's on him, because there is a weight on his shoulders, but it is our job to help bear that burden.
So what I'm hearing you saying, you correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing you saying is that you as a wife, you have learned to cover him even in his moments of weakness.
Oh yes.
You're going to keep him maintaining his strength, even if he feels as if he's not maintaining it in himself.
Yeah, we have to.
I feel like that's very vital, because it was times where, like, you want to crack, but if you got that support from your wife in your ear continuously, it's like, okay, I remember, like, I ain't trying to let you down. Like, I got that fight in me. And also in like, while being tenacious, setting the vision, you also want to keep and remind her that, like, this is for the family. I'm doing this for the family, because in the future, I want this to be something that built as wealth, where our kids can get in on it. It's not just a I want to satisfy myself type thing.
Yeah. Right. Like, no, you're building a legacy for your family.
Right. And also in chasing that tenacity, being tenacious, doing the vision that God has put in your heart to do, fulfilling that purpose. It's because I feel like us men, we forget, like, even me sometimes, you get so like, oh, I got to do this, got to do that, got that. That's why I said you can forget about your spouse, your woman's emotional need, because you so, like, in the pavement, like, you grinding, and you trying to get money, you trying to set things together, you trying to get the business booming, you trying to get all the right network and connect that, and the whole time your wife need you there.
And it helps to actually, and you can kind of attest to this or not, it helps sometimes when he gets like that, pull on the reins, but not in a public, in a rude setting or in a rude way. when everything has settled, when both of y'all chilling in the bed, like sometimes this is what I do. Like this is the way that Holy Spirit leads me to pull back the reins. I'll be like, hey, you didn't look at me today, and we didn't. Just small things like that, and it helps because each person is wanting to make sure that we're properly loving each other. That has to be there. It can't be whatever, I'm gonna do my own thing. We have to be in a place where it's like, okay, I'm wanting to please you, you're wanting to please me. And once we're both at that equal playing field, then we can, when we get to those spots where it's rest time, it's like, I feel like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like you haven't been really giving me that attention lately. I'm not looking for it all the time, but I think, it's been lacking a little bit. And then because he loves you or because she loves you, they're gonna step up to the plate,
In essence, let's say you both have visions, or let's say desires. Let me phrase it that way. And wills that you may have for not only yourself, but for the family as a whole. But we as men, though, what we can't do, be all gung-ho about ourselves, but we don't never stop to give attention to our wives. As wives, we just can't be gung-ho. Let's say, like for an example, just usually for an example, you're into the era of fashion, Talesha, and you just all about doing fashion, but then yet still you have a husband at home and you're not giving any attention to him. So so what it would seem to come across as if, you're putting your fashion before your husband, you're putting your artist dope before your wife, and that can create issues within the marriage and within the relationship as well. So you two, what you do, you strive to keep that in mind, that be in the forefront of each other. Or let's say in your case, Paris, you strive to keep that in the forefront of Des. Hey, sweetie, I'm here, not throwing or saying it in a derogatory way or in a way of anger, but with compassion and
gentleness.
Yeah. So
Holy Spirit is a real advantage. I know this is not, we don't do all that Bible thumping kind of stuff on this show and stuff, but I'm just being super straight up honest with you.
No, this is great.
Because there are times where I'm all up in my head right here and I done planned out this conversation. Oh, he finna hear me today. And the Spirit of the Lord will pull me back and almost allow me to see literally where he is. And then that will direct my tone, that will direct what I say, how I say, because for me, at first, it's just, he ain't paying me no attention. But to Holy Spirit, he sees where his heart is. God sees the heart. So he sees like, hey, that's not necessarily the case. And so he'll reveal that. And then I can enter and get the favor of the king as I speak.
You got a question? Because
No, they rolling.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this then. It's only been 1 year. Now, on the surface, and please, you don't have, I want you to be transparent, but not transparent, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Just read between the lines. On the surface, you all look like a young couple that have it absolutely together. Because generally, the first year in most relationships, you can kind of see where it's that a couple or two people, they kind of, they're going through some things and all types of issues or whatever will come up that maybe even test the relationship or cause, that couple to question themselves. Did I make the right decision in marrying this person? Did I make the right decision in choosing to let's say give my life or sacrifice my life for this person when we got this going on, that going on, this going on? So my question is, have you had challenging moments in your first year of marriage?
Yes.
Because see, let me tell you, let me say, because I want to be very, very real and sincere about this, because people look at you all and they just think y'all just A+ all the way down the list in every aspect of your relationship. You got it together.
But that was one of my questions. How do you handle conflict?
have you first of all, have you had
any conflict?
have you had any
And
conflict?
if so, how did you handle it?
We've had conflict. We've had conflict, but our conflict. But you want to know what's good though? I'm gonna just say this. You said that everybody think that we have it all together. That's one of the good things about when you pay attention. I don't know if you pay attention to sports, but that's one of the good things about a team, a great team, is that their inside things you don't know about. You think that team is all the way, like you think they perfect, right? But
Right.
as soon as you see them bickering, talking to each other, you know it's something about that team that ain't right. You just don't really know exactly what it is. But if you see us talking to each other, like fussing out in public or whatever, right? And people was like, oh yeah, that ain't right. Like I already know that team, like that relationship ain't right. Are they talking out there? But that's our conflicts is like for us, you know, not saying that we fronting, but
So you keep it in his house, but you keep it in the house.
Huh?
You keep it in the house though.
Sure.
Right, correct.
Ain't nobody else's business.
Right, this is our team.
Wow. Wow. So whatever, in essence, whatever go in your house, stay in your house.
Right, correct.
You ain't on the phone calling sister, auntie.
Right. If you ain't giving counsel, godly counsel, yeah, you don't know nothing about us.
I like that. Seems like y'all learned something.
But as far as handling conflict, we usually I don't know, she good at just saying I don't really want to talk about it right now. Me, I'd be willing to talk about it right then and there in the heat of the moment.
Where y'all got that from? Where did y'all get that from?
Same here. I want to deal with it right then and there, but her, I don't want to talk right now. So yeah, I gotta.
But that's because
I'm mad because I'm ready. As soon as that's me. Every time a problem come, I want to fix it right then and right there.
Right.
Also, in this, I think this comes with being aware of who you are as an individual, which is very important before you get married and all that. I know how sharp my tongue can be, and I know my initial emotions are not always the best or right on point. Because sometimes your emotions, I mean, people are in jail because of what their emotions, you know what I'm saying? So it's like your emotions can take you to a place like it doesn't even have to be that dramatic. And I personally know that I need that moment, bring it all the way down. Let's lay it out. Because if I don't, I'm going to say something that I regret saying to the person that I love.
Come on.
So we're saying to young couples, wives especially, because I'm not picking, but I'm just pointing out something. Ladies, we know ladies can have a ruthless tongue. Yes, they can say some things that can absolutely pierce the heart of a man. Yes, but you're saying, but what I'm hearing you saying that to the young wives, okay, things are not going to always go the way as you plan or as you might think it should. But whatever you do, don't ever speak when you're angry. Don't ever speak when you know that there's a possibility. Let me say it this way. Thank you, Lord. Don't ever speak when you know that you will release words that will cause hurt and not peace and not bring peace.
And words that you cannot take back. Yeah. Because once it's released, you can say sorry all you want, but it's going to always be in the back of their mind.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like that's why God has to be the foundation of every marriage, because another thing I don't do as well is I never yell at her or call her out of her name. That's
Come on, sir.
Big, because you know God don't speak to her like that.
Wow.
You know,
come on. Wow. Come on.
This, like, that's your queen. Just remember that wedding day.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Remember why you fell in love with her. Remember why you married her.
That's right.
So no, don't talk to me any old type of way. Yeah. And it's reciprocated back.
Right.
She won't talk to you. She just said it. She brings it all the way down.
right? And that way, when you do have sons and daughters, if they try to do that, and they can't even use the card that, oh, I see daddy do that.
That's right.
Don't. So now you got to get it, you know? So it's like, if you've been modeling the way of how a woman or your wife is supposed to be talked to, then everybody else in the house will fall in line.
That's it. That's good.
You got a question, man?
Oh, have you all gained any married friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yay. All right. And the reason I asked that is because when you're single, right? You're normally used to hanging out with your single friends. But now it's not that you forget about them, but there is a difference in, you can't go some of the places when you were single that you used to go. So now you hang out with your married friends. So you guys made married friends. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
How important is that though? How important would you say that is?
Married friends?
Yes, having married friends versus having single friends and being married.
I feel like having married friends is like having married friends that's in Christ. Because most of our married friends are in Christ.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it doesn't really kind of, because it's a lot of people married, but some of them doing it the wrong way. It's like I said, you see some husbands and you see some wives, they yell at each other all day. It's like, are you married? Okay. But anyways, that's very important, having friends, because they could give you counsel and also help you see outside of yourself.
For sure.
Because sometimes you may think you right, and they can give another resolution to the issue in a different perspective.
Correct.
Let me ask you this, because I know we have couples watching. I'm sure that in future other young couples will be watching, hopefully in the future, and listening to what this conversation. I know God is the center point of your marriage. There's no question about it. Do you have another focal point in your marriage? Let's say that rule of thumb. Hey, listen, this is one of those areas in which that, hey, this is set in stone. This is what we build our relationship around. And this is going to be, let's say, the mantra, the motto of our relationship going forward. Like, for an example, no matter what may transpire between my wife and I, one thing for me, I'm just saying for me, and I'm sure for her, I would never forget why I fell in love with her. Do you have anything of that nature? You understand my question? I know God is a sinner, but do you have something else that you have set in, let's say, under God, that, hey, look, this is how we function. This is the governing criteria of our marriage, of our relationship, our love for one another?
Yeah, you can go. Yeah.
One of those huge things I think is communication. The big C. It comes up in every single relationship.
That's good.
We have to talk about it, because any kind of conflict, that we've had, because I'll be a little bit transparent. In the beginning, we had a little bit of conflict when it came to sex and intimacy, and I'll kind of leave that right there.
Right.
But it was gonna become a huge thing because I wasn't saying anything. So I think ever since we resolved that communication, it has to happen. If it's something that I'm sensing, because I think one of the things that I used to do, if I see something, I'll be like, well, maybe I'm just tripping, or maybe it's not that big of a deal, and I'll just let it pile and pile and pile and pile and pile until it got so huge And now we got this big old conflict, argument, whatever, when it could have been resolved from the beginning if I had said something when I saw it at the proper time. So communication, I believe for us is one of those pillars, huge pillars that keeps us from getting into so far those big spats where we're like yelling and all this stuff. That keeps it down because I no longer discount my feelings. I don't say it's not that big of a deal. No, I'm gonna express it, and then sometimes counsel comes from him. And even if it wasn't that big of a deal, somehow he knows how to smooth that thing over to show me a different perspective, if that makes sense. And vice versa. He'll say something and maybe that'll give me a different perspective. But it just, that one thing right there, making sure we say something like the police people be saying. If you see something, say something. Say something. If somebody tried to hit on me today, I'm saying something. Like, we not gonna keep anything covered. Everything has to be open, naked, unashamed.
Wow.
That's good.
Wow.
That's good.
Transparency. Transparency is good.
So communication, transparency.
Yeah. And I'm sure that when you are communicating, you're communicating to listen and not to just to be heard.
To get understanding.
And to get understanding.
Yeah.
I guess, and I would assume you would definitely stress that in every relationship.
Any kind, romantic, platonic, whatever.
Yes.
Just say something, like get into a good place where y'all can just have a good conversation. And even if it seems like it's gonna be one of those things that's hard to get across, you gotta go for it and just really let the person hear your heart, so that they can understand where you are and then respond. Because that, I think, having those conversations helped me to grasp what we were talking about earlier, as far as being sensitive to how he feels, where he is. Just listening to him talk, you could tell where his heart is. And so that helped me to be like, okay, he's not really, trying to be standoffish or ignore me. He's really just trying to figure this thing out. And so that's what really, one of those things that we've learned this year that's huge for us. Communication. Good communication.
You sure you all only been married for a year?
I don't know.
I mean, listen, I hope that this conversation here is helping someone, is helping some other couples, young couples that may be having conflict in their marriage. And I think one of the, I can tell you for this, and I guess this question is to you, Desmond, especially we being men, the king of the house, the man of the house. We have to do a lot of adjusting, would you say?
Yeah. You do. You have to adjust. You got to be able to. I feel like as just part of also being a man, knowing how to adjust, adapt to the situation, because sometimes situations is unexpected, but you can't quit. That's one of my things too. Not quitting.
Right.
One of our relationship things. I'm big on not quitting. Like, I'm not quitting.
We had love.
Right.
Okay, since you mentioned about adjusting, one of my questions was, one of the hardest parts in a marriage, whether new, mature, classic, I like that, Harris.
Oh, wait.
Finances. So how did you adjust your spending habits to suit the both of you? Because, we know artists don't. You see the nice kicks, he just want to go get them, or he see the nice fit, he just want to go get it. That's what he used to do when he was single, right? But now, how did you adjust?
I think you want to go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I always love nice kicks, but I feel like I kind of got a grip of that before I left y'all house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, once I started the brand, I was like, okay, if I'm going to be consuming stuff, it's going to be my own stuff. That's why you hardly see me. You don't see me, spending money on like all and like I be wanting them, but it's sacrifices. It's like you want these $300 Jordans, or you want to spend $300 on your brand, make that better, and build family wealth. It's like the choice is yours. Also, communication is key with finances. Like, it's funny because everything goes back to communication, because we had to speak about, like, I remember I ain't have to talk to Talesha about how much money I got.
You were dating. You mean when you were dating?
You gonna see these J's on my feet. Go Google and find out. Yeah. Don't ask me. No, but being in marriage, like, hold on, I gotta tell you, like, it was just it's like open, everything open. It's like naked, legit. Like, okay, girl. Like,
I think it was easy though, because
it wasn't hard.
When you say communication, whoever the money person is in the marriage, the other person always needs to know so that they're aware. So for us, I'm more of a numbers person, so I deal with that. So I learned this from Pastor Rhonda. She said, if that's what your role is, lay it out so that both of you are aware of what's going on. And once I show him them numbers, I'm trying to spend no money.
Yes.
What that's what we ain't spending. Ain't nobody paying for that. It was
listen.
We swiping nothing else no more. It just, I don't know. He just shifted. I don't know. Once we got married, a whole lot of stuff just.
It's a house.
It's
too.
just.
It's like you don't want
the light. I don't know. It just came on.
You
so
want
once we both were aware of how much we were making, how much needed to go out, and what the goals were we wanted to reach, which is something that we still working on, is really seeking the Lord for what are those things that we need to attain unto. Because as you say, God is the center, and art is dope is for His glory and everything that we're doing. Because if not, I mean, it's in vain. But it's really asking Him, what are the goals that we should set? And that's something that we got to work on being more diligent and persistent about. What are those goals that we need to work towards? And then we can lay out an even more detailed financial plan that way. But I think just keeping each other abreast of what's going on with the finances, because at one point he just started throwing the whole shit over here. Like, he'll say the whole thing.
And I'll be broke.
And for no reason. I'm like, we're not poor. Like, you need to relax.
Babe, you could have asked me for food. I'm like, I'll wait.
I don't need to get no food.
Like
I'm telling you, once he saw those numbers, he like almost stopped touching anything. But
listen, let me tell you something. I used to say, oh, tell this guy here about the finances. I'm sorry. I had a thought. I'm sorry about the finances. And I used to always say, oh, we don't have money. We don't have money. Oh, we need this or we need that. So what Holy Spirit showed me was this: write it down and just slide it to him. And when I wrote it down and I slide it, it's just like you said with him. When he saw those numbers, he's like, oh, we got to change this. We got to change this. Oh, I can't be doing, we can't be swiping the card. I got to write everything down. I don't have to go and say anything. I write it down and I slide that paper.
Communication, though. Communication is important.
Exactly.
Listen, I don't keep books. She does. All right. But I need to know what's happening. Yeah. I need to know what's going on, because that does help me govern what I do on my end, because I don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize or go and spend money that's unnecessary. I don't never spend money that's unnecessary. But if I spend something, it's because I need. But if it's something that I need right now, something that needs to wait, because she may be working with a budget, and then I go and swipe, or whatever and spend, then I'm affecting her budget. So that's what I don't want to do. So at times, what I do, I just send her a text, hey, listen, this is something I like to do. What you say, give me yeah and nay or whatever. Because I don't, unless she tell me, I don't know what's there, but I don't, because she does such a well job. Listen, the last thing I want to do is be the culprit of disrupting anything as far as keeping the house and, handling the budget as far as the house is concerned. I always just tell her, listen, I don't care what you do with that money. I just don't want to be broke. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. You know, and then the other thing, what I do, I stick a 20 or 40 bucks in my pocket. You know, I'm good because I don't.
But he's like what you said with Desmond. He just make the money and it's in the account.
Yeah, I don't
he give me the check or he give me, no. He keeps
I'll
a
never
little
worry
bit for him, but that's it.
I never worry about what my wife is doing with my money. I never worry. Never, not since we've been married. Hey, here, babe. I just go out and make it and give it to her. I don't care wherever I get money from, I give it to her. And that's it. And I keep whatever I'm gonna keep in my pocket and keep right on down the road. No, but Des, I might have only $1 or $2, but it don't mean I don't have any money now.
Come on.
I don't, I don't have to live like that. You know, I've learned and she's helped me with that. And I'm grateful to God for that. Well, hey, let me ask you all something. I want you to take a minute and think about it. You got any more questions?
I'm good.
Because it's time for us to wrap this up. But I want you to, I'm going to ask this question. Then I got a comment here I want to address that we received from Ms. Wilcox. I want you to take a minute to think about this question before both of you respond. And what I want you to do, what I'm going to ask you all to do, is with your last comments, Talesha, I would like for you to speak to the young wives, or even the mature wives. Are there something that you feel is so essential for them that would help them in a relationship with their husband, and vice versa, Des? What would you say to young men that is essentially important that they need to know and understand when it comes to being in a marriage, a relationship with their wives? So while you all are thinking on this, I want to, we got a question here. It says that what advice would you give for a struggling marriage if the other spouse is not in the marriage mindset anymore? You want to address that, Paris?
I guess I can answer, not really answer, but because what I would say, I'm not really, like, we 1 year in, but we've been in a relationship a long time. But what that seems like is just a relationship that would need some refreshing, or familiarity has set place. So I would say get into that. Sometimes just doing something out of the norm would help that type of situation, or just get into a spot where you both can be vulnerable, and next thing you know, you unlock another a layer of vulnerability. And just like, you ever sat down and talked to somebody and you thought you loved them, but when they tell you something, you're like, dang, that unlocked another layer. Like, I feel like I love you more now. You know, you ever experienced that? So it's just, I feel like just doing something unfamiliar, getting to a different spot and being vulnerable to each other, listening, that probably can help. So
I think that helped us for sure in our 3rd year when we were courting. Because like I said, we've had plenty of opportunities to quit. And especially if you're a kingdom couple, the devil hates you already. So he's going to try any way possible, distractions all over the place, to try to get you to separate. But what he's saying, like, get into that vulnerable place, go somewhere and just let it all out. Mm-hmm. Don't spare anything. Just let it go and have a conversation and see what, because those moments like that took us for the next 3 years, next 6 years, next 7 years, because we were together 11 years before we actually got married. So you can imagine what could happen in 11 years. You're talking about 15, 16, 17-year-old, 18, 19, 21, especially a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot that could happen. So really get, like you said, get in a vulnerable spot, have that conversation, and do something to refresh the marriage. And I know one thing that helped for me is honor. When you've been going through, especially, and I don't know yet because we don't have kids yet, But I feel like, especially if you have kids, just really understand what really gets your spouse inspired or excited and do it. I mean, the best you can. Even if it feels too expensive, like, get creative and figure out a way to just honor them and shower them. Even if you feel like in your flesh, like, they don't deserve it, I'm sick of them, whatever. No, honor them. Honor him. I mean, make him feel like he's not acting, if he is acting up. Like, whatever it is, really just press in on it and do it, because that honor is gonna unlock a new perspective. It's gonna open up a new door for you to enter in, maybe to another level of intimacy, another level, like just unlocking another layer of their hearts that they may have not shared with you before. But that one really helped us. That vulnerability, just getting to have that conversation and honoring each other. Anytime I feel like I'm getting familiar, I break it, like, let's go.
That's good.
And making that a habit in your marriage, making honor a habit, just doing those just because things.
That's funny. The question, and we have, I don't want to hold too long, but in our marriage counseling, that was one of my fears was getting familiar. It was like
and it can happen.
Yeah,
it can happen. And it was something that you said there too, Paris, is the fact that even if you have children, whether or not they're young or what have you, you gotta find space somewhere or another to remove, and I don't mean this in an offensive way, but you have to get away from that distraction. You have to make time. It just can't be all about the children. It was something I saw somewhere, heard someone speak on. I think it's important that you got couples, especially if they're young. You have to make sure that you spend time, at least if it's just, once a month, away from everything else, and just you. You need that time to yourself for intimacy. Even if it's just to go to the hotel across the street and get a room where it's just you and her, or you and him.
Right.
You need that time, because listen, life itself can wear on you.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, and I don't want to keep hashing on it, but you said a mouthful though, Paris, especially when it comes to the woman. And you have that gift of influence. But are you willing to do that, is what sacrifice that which is necessary in order to win your relationship back? Regardless, I think that I'm going to say this goes on both sides. No matter what, you be responsible for making sure that you are the wife that you're supposed to be to your husband. No matter what, you do what is necessary to make sure that you're responsible to be the husband that you need to be to your wife. Because if you're losing interest, I think the first place you should look at is within yourself, let alone you blaming your wife for, or you blaming your husband for what is not there based on what used to be there. Now, I'm gonna ask this quick question. I still want to go back, if you can. I think y'all may have already given them the nuggets in which to my prior question. But from a rate of 1 to 10, how would you rate the importance of counseling, godly counseling?
15. Sorry, go ahead.
I would say 10.
Yeah,
10 definitely.
10 out of 10.
It's wisdom. It stirs you to the right way or passage. Because sometimes you don't know, especially when you're in the thick of your emotions, and you just like, all right, I done had it. Like, you tried me, like, you ready to divorce. You ready to divorce after one little mess up or mistake or issue. It's like, godly counsel definitely will steer you in the right way.
And there's some things that as a couple, you're gonna have to blaze the trail for your family. You're the only ones that can do it, because that's the assignment that you've been given. But there's some things that have already been learned and that have already been mastered. So it's like, instead of you guessing, add into your work, because you're all, like I said, you're already supposed to be pioneering something. You're already supposed to be giving birth to some sort of vision, and there's already opposition in that. So you're trying to add on top of that. Just go to somebody that already knows.
Right.
Get solved, so that y'all can keep focused on the things that really matter, so that y'all can focus on getting that unique expression of God out from the inside of you to the world. Because there's a job that we have to do as married couples. God didn't design marriage just so that we can have kids and be cute. Like, there's something to do when it comes to marriage. So if you can get counsel about it, get it done. Get it done. There are, like I said, there are some things you're gonna have to walk out and work out on your own. But the things that have already been mastered, somebody that's overcome that, go get it, man. Go get it. There's safety in it. It'll keep you from wandering.
Wow.
Keep you from, all right, we're going to get these divorce papers. Ain't nobody got time for this. There's safety in counsel. So it's good to, and just on that other question about marriage mindset and all that, we received a book, real quick plug. We received a book from one of our one of our couple friends, and it's called 52 Uncommon Dates. And it's very cool, really good book. It's actually a Christian author as well. So it's not just a bunch of ruthless suggestions. They're all, faith-based so far, as much as we've read. And so we're on date number 1, and you do that as often as you want. You can do once a week, once a month, whatever.
Right.
With you, but that's another refresher suggestion. That book.
Yeah. I thought
I like that book.
our getaways were very essential and important for us as well. Question so how do we do with you all as parents?
Oh, please. Woo.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah,
10 out of 10.
Listen, I don't know without you guys. I don't know.
Well, we're just grateful to God. We got a comment here. When it's all about the children, when they are all grown and gone, we can be left looking at our spouses like, who are you? Because all the time was spent on the children. That's important. That is important. That is important. You got to get away from the children. You have to.
But can I say this?
Sure.
In the beginning of our marriage, somebody didn't want to do that.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
In the beginning, but when we did it the first time, he loved it. He was like, where we going? Where we going next?
You gotta have
what we gonna do?
time.
It's very important.
You got to get away. You got to get away. So it's important.
That's what our oldest son does every year.
Yeah.
They do a marriage retreat every year.
Yeah. So, okay. So Ms. Wilcox says that you definitely should invite the other power couple, Andrew and Shantricia Thomas, to speak on the many godly manifestations in their marriage. Yeah, we've thought about it. I think that's a good suggestion. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk to them and see. We can have them on. We have another couple, our son-in-law and daughter. Let me tell you something. I love their marriage. I love their relationship.
Yes.
I love what they're doing. I've always been a fan of Mr. Andrew Thomas and his courting time with our daughter. Let me tell you, this young man did it the right way.
Yeah, they were just like you guys.
Yeah.
High school.
And how many years now? What, 7 years now?
No, 10.
10?
10.
10 years married, right?
10 years married.
Yeah, okay, I'm behind then, huh?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So we'll talk to them and see if we can get them on. The wisdom here is invaluable. Thank you, Mr.
We have good examples too. I feel like we have good examples all around through our church, through the body. Just sisters, brother, like, we had good examples. And we paid attention to the good examples. Yeah. Like, what are they doing?
Right.
You
Oh,
know?
that's good.
So I feel like wisdom was always at our tips. We didn't have to really go and search out because it was so blatant in front of us. So for us to not really take heed of the examples that was before us would be crazy.
For sure.
Okay. Well, let me put this comment up, then we're going to get out of here. It says that communication is very vital, and being honest and open with each other. Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Tyler, for that. But hey, I always said something tonight. Well, this beautiful couple, let me tell you, y'all talk like you guys talk like y'all been doing this here for a while, you know. But you got any last comments that you would like to leave with the audience, listening audience?
Husbands, love your wife like Christ loved the church.
All right. Preach, sir.
Nah, but for real, I feel like you could forget to like I was alluding to that earlier. Like you can get so caught up in working. I'm bringing in money, but you ain't loving. Like he ain't say bring in money. He said love your wife, and that takes some. It takes some dying to the flesh to give affection. You've been working all day, and you're not really naturally like I guess like lovey-dovey because the Wonder Woman that time.
Just say one more thing.
Go ahead, babe.
I was just wanted to say one more thing. When you were talking about that was Paris, when you was talking about honoring the husband and how it unlocks the favor. A lot of times it's hard for us to honor when we haven't died to self.
That's good.
And we're all in our feelings and all in our emotions, and we roll in the neck and the eyes and all that kind of stuff. No, we have to put ourselves, humble yourself, okay?
Yeah.
Humble yourselves and do what has to be done as a wife, as a mother, and just love on your husband and just bring it back together. Bring it back. Pull it, like you say, pull the reins.
You got to down both sides. You have to die to self on both sides in order to have a happy relationship. So hey, listen, thank you all. And I just want to say this, those of you who are watching on YouTube, please, how about while you're there, it's your first time to this show, how about subscribe, like, comment, even share, and support. So continue to support what we're doing here on A Father's Note. And again, we say to the Joneses, thank you all so much.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary to
Thank you again.
Let me get to it. Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, without any further ado, we're going to say good night.